برائے خوشنودی قائم آل محمد بلندر صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔ مجلس کا انعقاد تلاوت قرآن پاک سے کرتے ہیں۔ اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔ اللہ لا الہ الا هو الحی القیوم لا تأخذہ سینۃ ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يئوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم۔ آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم۔ اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد۔ ماشاءاللہ آج پڑھنے والے بھی مومن آ گئے تو مختصر سا کلام حاضر خدمت۔ پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، مشکلوں میں یہی ایک کام بس ہم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی۔ دشمن آل محمد سے مروت کیسی، دشمن آل محمد سے مروت کیسی، ہم کو یہ کام نہیں آتا، ہم کو یہ کام نہیں آتا، نہ ہم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی۔ اے مسلمان جہنم ہے ٹھکانہ ان کا، اے مسلمان جہنم ہے ٹھکانہ ان کا، رتبہ آل پیمبر کو، رتبہ آل پیمبر کو جو کام کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی، سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی۔ مار دی جائے نہ منہ پر یہ پرکھ لیجے نماز، مار دی جائے نہ منہ پر یہ پرکھ لیجے نماز، لکھنے والے کو یہاں نیت بھی رقم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی سینوں پہ دم کرتے ہیں، پڑھ کے ہم نعت علی یا علی۔ میں ہوں بھائی سے ملتمس ہوں کہ تشریف لائیں اور بارگاہ امامت میں اپنا کلام پیش کریں۔ برائے خوشنودی قائم آل محمد بلند تر صلوات، اللہم صلی علی محمد
بر محمد محمد صلوات صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ ریان آدمی صاحب کا کلام پیش کریں۔ مولانا صاحب اجازت۔ فرش مجلس پہ مکمل خاکساری چاہیے، فرش مجلس پہ مکمل خاکساری چاہیے، اشک آنکھوں میں دلوں میں بے قراری چاہیے، اشک آنکھوں میں دلوں میں بے قراری چاہیے، مقصد اجر رسالت صرف ماتم ہی نہیں، مقصد اجر رسالت صرف ماتم ہی نہیں، دل کی دھڑکن میں صدائے سوگواری چاہیے، دل کی دھڑکن میں صدائے سوگواری چاہیے، آنکھ میں آنسو نہ ہو سن کر مصائب شاہ کے، آنکھ میں آنسو نہ ہو سن کر مصائب شاہ کے، ایسی چشم سنگ خو پر سنگ باری چاہیے، خود بخود ہو جائے گی پھر حق و باطل میں تمیز، خود بخود ہو جائے گی پھر حق و باطل میں تمیز، درسگاہ کربلا سے استواری چاہیے، آنکھ سے آنسو نہ ٹپکے نیتوں کا ہے ثواب، آنکھ سے آنسو نہ ٹپکے نیتوں کا ہے ثواب، کم سے کم چہرے پہ طاری غم گساری چاہیے، بولی زینب قید سے ہو کر رہا سجاد سے، بولی زینب قید سے ہو کر رہا سجاد سے، ایک چادر ایک سواری ہماری چاہیے، ایک چادر ایک سواری یا ہماری چاہیے، ماتم شبیر کیا ہے ایک مسلسل احتجاج، ماتم شبیر کیا ہے ایک مسلسل احتجاج، انتقام ظلم ہے یہ ضرب کاری چاہیے، ماں نے اصغر سے کہا لب پر ہنسی بے شک رہے، ماں نے اصغر سے کہا لب پر ہنسی بے شک رہے، اس تبسم کو ادائے ذوالفقاری چاہیے، کہتے تھے اہل ستم کٹ کر نہیں جھکتے یہ سر، کہتے تھے اہل ستم کٹ کر نہیں جھکتے یہ سر، گردن سجاد کو ایک طوق بھاری چاہیے، کتنے سورج سو چکے ہیں کربلا کی خاک پر، کتنے سورج سو چکے ہیں کربلا کی خاک پر، نیک نوزہ پر چراغ حمد باری چاہیے،
بر محمد والے محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد والے محمد علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو علی بغیر کسی اور کی نہ بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو علی بغیر کوئی ہم کو تو جچا ہی نہیں علی بغیر کوئی ہم کو تو جچا ہی نہیں جہاں گئے ہے کہا بس اسی کی بات کرو علی بغیر کسی اور کی نہ بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو علم کے شہر کا در کون ہے بتاؤ ذرا علم کے شہر کا در کون ہے بتاؤ ذرا اندھیرے چھوڑ کے اب روشنی کی بات کرو یا علی علی بغیر کسی اور کی نہ بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو ہو جنگ کوئی بھی اسلام کی تو کون لڑا ہو جنگ کوئی بھی اسلام کی تو کون لڑا جو بھاگتے تھے نا ان گیدڑوں کی بات کرو علی بغیر کسی اور کی نہ بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو بہت شکریہ جناب ضیاء قلم نے کہا لکھنے کو بہت ہے مگر ضیاء قلم نے کہا لکھنے کو بہت ہے مگر سبھی کو چھوڑ کے شیر جلی کی بات کرو علی بغیر کسی اور کی نہ بات کرو علی کی بات کرو زندگی کی بات کرو بہت شکریہ
پر محمد والے محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم ضیاء بھائی نے مولا علی کا کلام پڑھا ہے تو اسی مناسبت سے ایک مناجات بی بی زہرا اور اے کل کے مددگار سرداروں کے سردار مشکل کشائی ہو میرے مولا میرے سرکار گر تم نہ کرو گے تو کرم کون کرے گا گر تم نہ سنو گے تو میری کون سنے گا، میری کون سنے گا؟ زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، مولا میری نگاہوں کو حاصل ہو یہ شرف، جیتے جی ایک بار دکھا دو مجھے نجف، دکھا دو مجھے نجف، سانسوں کا رک نہ جائے، سانسوں کا رک نہ جائے کہیں سلسلہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، مشکل گھڑی ہے کیجئے آسان راستے، سب پر کرم ہو بالی سکینہ کے واسطے، سکینہ کے واسطے، تم بن نہیں ہے، تم بن نہیں ہے کوئی میرا آسرا علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، اے کبریا کی شان محمد کے دل نشیں، آنسو رواں ہے آنکھ سے دل کو سکون نہیں، دل کو سکون نہیں، یہ دل سے آ رہی ہے، یہ دل سے آ رہی ہے مسلسل صدا علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، ایک گھر مجھے بھی چاہیے کعبے کے محترم، جس پر لگا ہو حضرت عباس کا علم، عباس کا علم، غربت میں مفلسی میں، غربت میں مفلسی میں یہی ہے دعا علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، بیمار کربلا سے وفا کا صلہ ملے، بیمار جو ہے ان کو مکمل شفا ملے، مکمل شفا ملے، اس کی قسم جو، اس کی قسم جو کانٹوں پہ چلتا رہا علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی، مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی، ہائے حسین ہائے ضعیفی کا وہ سما، دیکھی جوان بیٹے کے سینے پہ جب سینہ، سینے پہ جب سینہ رکھ کر سینہ پہ ہاتھ، رکھ کر سینہ پہ ہاتھ تڑپ کر کہا علی مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی مشکل کش میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی جس دم اسیر ہو کے چلی شام کی طرف زینب پکاری دے کہ ہائے سوئے نجب ہائے سوئے نجب کس طرح شام جاؤں گی میں بے ردا علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی زندہ میں جب بہن کا جنازہ نہ اٹھ سکا ہائے تڑپ کے سید سجاد نے کہا سجاد نے کہا وقت مدد ہے وقت مدد ہے آئیے یا مرتضیٰ علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی ذیشان اور رضا کے لبوں پر دعا ہے یہ غیبت سے جلد بارے میں بیٹے کو بھیجیے بیٹے کو بھیجیے مشکل ہے سانس لینا ان کے بنا علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی زہرا کی مصیبت کا تمہیں واسطہ علی مشکل کو میری حل کر مشکل کشا علی مشکل کو میری حل کرو مشکل کشا علی
محمد آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد زندگی اعزاز بنا دے مولا زندگی باعث اعزاز بنا دے مولا روضہ حضرت عباس دکھا دے مولا روضہ حضرت عباس دکھا دے مولا میں یہ سمجھوں گا ملا مجھ کو نشان حیدر میں یہ سمجھوں گا ملا مجھ کو نشان حیدر داغ ماتم میرے سینے پہ سجا دے مولا زندگی باعث اور محمد آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. بہت شکریہ. ایک مرتبہ باز بلند سوال اللہ صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. سامنے شے کے سکینہ کو تماچا مارا. سامنے شے کے سکینہ کو تماچا مارا. شے کو اس بات نے خنجر سے زیادہ مارا. سامنے شے کے رن میں ایک شور اٹھا ابن علی کو مارو. رن میں ایک شور اٹھا ابن علی کو مارو. جس کو پتھر نہ ملا اس نے تماچا مارا. سامنے شے کے قتل عباس سے مارا گیا شہ کو پہلے. قتل عباس سے مارا گیا شہ کو پہلے. اور پھر شمر نے خنجر سے دوبارہ مارا. سامنے شے کے پیاس سے تیروں سے تلواروں سے اور نیزوں سے. پیاس سے تیروں سے تلواروں سے اور نیزوں سے جتنا مارا گیا شبیر کو اتنا مارا. سامنے شے کے سکینہ کو تماچا مارا. اور ایک دوجے کو نہ پہچان سکے وہ قیدی. ایک دوجے کو نہ پہچان سکے وہ قیدی. شام کے لوگوں نے بازار میں اتنا مارا. سامنے شے کے اور گر پڑی خاک پہ زینب ہائے اکبر کہہ کر، گر پڑی خاک پہ زینب ہائے اکبر کہہ کر، ابن نوفل نے جہاں پشت پر نیزہ مارا، سامنے شے کے سکینہ کو تماچا مارا۔ آخری شعر، پتھروں نے بھی بہت مارا مگر زینب کو، ارے پتھروں نے بھی بہت مارا مگر زینب کو، باغی باغی کی صداؤں نے زیادہ مارا، سامنے شے کے اور جس نے احسان کیا ان پہ صدا زین رضا، جس نے احسان کیا اس پہ صدا زین رضا، شام والوں نے اسی شاہ کو پیاسا مارا، سامنے شے کے سکینہ کو تماچا مارا، شے کو اس بات نے خنجر سے زیادہ مارا، سامنے شے محمد آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ بہت شکریہ۔
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، الحمد للہ الذی لا یبلغ مدحتہ القائلون ولا یوسینا معہ العدون ولا یؤدی حقہ المجتہدون، الذی لا یدرکہ بہد الہمم ولا ینالہ غوث الفتن، الذی لیس لصفتہ حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا اجل ممدود، فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان أرض، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين، أما بعد فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن جنحوا للسلم فاجنح لها وتوكل على الله إنه هو السميع العليم صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد
Dear brothers and sisters,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we've already discussed in these last 4 nights, we've talked about, or our topic's been about the foundations that were laid, for the incident or the event of Karbala to occur. And we talked about 3-4 incidents already, and the incident that I want to talk about tonight is the incident that is directly related to the event of Karbala, which is what? Which is when Muawiyah he came to power, which is when he made the treaty with Imam Hassan alayhi salam, which is when he broke that treaty with Imam Hassan alayhi salam. It's that treaty that Imam Hassan alayhi salam had made with Muawiyah. What were the conditions of this treaty? That's what we need to look at. 2, what was the reason that Imam Hassan alayhi salam was even forced to make this treaty? What was the mentality of the people that Imam Hassan alayhi salam was surrounded with at that time? Because the same people that lived in the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, it's the same people that lived to call Imam Hussein alayhi salam to Iraq. It's the same people that lived to call Imam Hussein alayhi salam to Najaf. If there was a difference in people, then we could say, you know what, it wasn't the same people. But no, the people weren't different. If it was 2 or 3 generations, 3, 4, 5 generations after Imam Hassan that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was called to Kufa, then we could say, you know what, it wasn't even the same people. No. When we look at that treaty, when we look at the reason Imam Hassan alayhi salam was forced to write up that treaty or have that treaty written, you'll realize what type of people lived in Kufa at that time. Because it was those same Kufans, some narrations 30,000, other narrations 20,000, Kufans that wrote letters to Imam Hussein to come to Kufa. And out of those 20,000, the majority of them were with whom? Yazid Lamtullah alayhi. Out of those 20,000, there was only a few number that were with Imam Hussein. We hear about the 72, but if you look at narrations, they say that on the day of Ashur, there were still some people other than Hur who came from Yazid's camp and they were martyred in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But the most famous of them that switched sides was Hur alayhi salam. But there are some narrations that state that the shuhada of Karbala, they totaled 313. 313. But the ones that we talk about the most, and the most famous of them, are those 72. That's it. But a total of 313. So where did those other people come from? 72, 313. Almost 250, almost 260 people that are not talked about. Where were they? Where did they come from? Those were some of the people that switched sides on the 10th of Ashur. But majority of the people of Kufa, whose side were they on? Yazid's side. If you look at the narrations, they say that those people that were on Yazid's side, what were they given or what were they told that they would get? Do you all know? Some people came to kill Imam Hussein for a handful of dates. Some people came to kill Imam Hussein for a handful of grapes. Forget dinars or dirhams. No, for dates and grapes. For food. What does this tell you about the people that lived in the time of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? What does this tell you about how Muawiyah la'natullah alayhi, he treated the people of Kufa? Even when he died, before he died, he tells Yazid, he writes a letter to Yazid telling him, make sure the people of Kufa are in your control. And do you all know how Muawiyah, he made sure that the people of Kufa were under his control? History states that Muawiyah, he told his governor, not just in Kufa, in Basra and all these countries, wherever there's a family and that family has kids, give them a baby goat and let them raise that goat for a year. After the year's over, I want you to take the goat away. And when the kids ask, why are you doing this? Say to them that Ali ibn Abi Talib has told us to do it. This is the same thing he used to do to the people in Sham. This is the reason when the Shamis, when they heard about Imam Ali alayhi salam being martyred in the masjid, they used to say, what does Ali have to do with the masjid? What does Ali have to do with prayers? This is how Muawiyah, he propagated what? The sunnah of Muawiyah. This is how Muawiyah, he propagated the hatred of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. But when we come to the sunnah of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, what did the people say? The people say that during the time of Imam Hassan, as soon as Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he became Khalifa, the first thing he wanted to do was that battle that Amir al-Mu'mineen was preparing for against Muawiyah. Imam Hassan alayhi salam wanted to carry out that battle. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Siffin ended up becoming the last battle. But before Amir al-Mu'mineen passed away, he was going to fight Muawiyah one more time before he was martyred. But Imam Hassan alayhi salam, what does he do? He tries to gather people. Gathers a few people. Then he tries to gather more people. At the end, how many people were with Imam Hassan? Do you all know? Muawiyah is coming with an army of 20,000. At the end, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he's able to muster 2,000-3,000 people the first time he asked for people to join. And one of the people that joined was whom? His cousin Ubaydullah ibn Abbas. And this person is the reason that Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he had to do his treaty. Ubaydullah ibn Abbas, he's his cousin. When the enemy is able to buy off your cousin, what are you left to do now? What are you left to do? Muawiyah, he told Ubaydullah that he would pay him 20,000 dinars, and he would give him a post in his government if he was to switch sides. The cousin of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he accepts. Not only him, but he takes some of the soldiers that Imam Hassan alayhi salam had mustered with him. At that time, it was almost 10,000 people. What does he do, Ubaydullah? 2,000 to 5,000 people Ubaydullah takes with him. Now what's Imam Hassan alayhi salam left to do? That's the reason Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he writes up a treaty. The people that were with Imam Hassan, there were still some Khawarij. The people that were with Imam Hassan, there were still just some of those people that believed that he was a Khalifa. The people with Imam Hassan, very few that believed him to be Imam. The people with Imam Hassan, those people that wanted loot from the war. The people with Imam Hassan, those people that wanted positions in his government. The people with Imam Hassan, those people that wanted just money. There were very few people that believed Imam Hassan to be the legitimate Khalifa of the time. Very few. When it came to Ubaydullah switching sides, then Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he signed that treaty. What was the basis of that treaty? That's what we need to look at. 9 points in that treaty. The very first point in that treaty was what? He tells Muawiyah that after you die, after you pass away, Khilafat is going to come back to me, or it's going to go to my brother Hussein. The very first point of that treaty. Did Muawiyah adhere to that very first point? No. What does he do? Tariq Khamis, you pick up a history book of Islam. Muawiyah, he spent 7 years trying to get people to pay bay'at to his son Yazid after him. 7 years. So that means what? that means that at the very least for 7 years, he never intended to keep track on that. What was left? Imam Hassan alayhi salam, the second condition he puts, one of the other conditions that Imam Hassan alayhi salam puts is what? Is that Muawiyah is not to touch any of the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Did he adhere to that? No. He didn't adhere to that. You have some of the most devout companions of Imam Ali alayhi salam being killed because of Muawiyah. Another condition that Imam Hassan alayhi salam put was that Muawiyah has power, but he will rule based on the Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. The Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. Why would Imam Hassan alayhi salam need to put down this condition? The fact that this condition was laid down tells you what? That Muawiyah wasn't following the Quran or the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. Another condition Imam Hassan alayhi salam lays down is what? No litigants are to be brought forth in front of Muawiyah. Muawiyah is not to make any rulings himself. But you see that was also broken. Another condition that he puts, he says one of the things that needs to stop is that Muawiyah, he needs to tell all of his speakers to stop cursing Amir al-Mu'mineen. Stop cursing Amir al-Mu'mineen. Even today, the majority of Muslims, it's in their books that Muawiyah had his people, his speakers curse Amir al-Mu'mineen from the minbar. They believe that Amir al-Mu'mineen was one of the rightly guided Khalifas. Amir al-Mu'mineen to them, the majority of Muslims today, Amir al-Mu'mineen is the last rightly guided Khalifa. After Amir al-Mu'mineen, Muawiyah, and then Banu Umayyah and Banu Abbas, they're just kings, that's it. Even today, the majority of Sunnis do not call out Muawiyah, do not condemn Muawiyah for what he did. To what? To a rightly guided Khalifa. To a rightly guided Khalifa. This is only and only against Amir al-Mu'mineen. They do not side with Amir al-Mu'mineen. But if someone had done something or said something about Usman, they condemn them. If someone said something or did something against Umar, they condemn that person. If someone said something or did something against Abu Bakr, they condemn that person. But when it's against Amir al-Mu'mineen, there's no condemnation. Why? Why? If it's against Aisha, they condemn that person. Why is it that if it's against Amir al-Mu'mineen, everyone needs to stay quiet? But if it's against one of those other personalities, no, the whole world needs to speak up. Where's the fairness? Amir al-Mu'mineen is a Khalifa Rashid for you. When you have someone speaking out against a Khalifa Rashid, shouldn't you speak up? No. But when we speak up, they're kafir. When we speak up, they're mushrik. When we speak up, they're wajib qatl. If speaking out against or speaking up against a Khalifa Rashid, you're wajib qatl, then Aisha is wajib qatl. Muawiyah was wajib qatl. The companions who killed Uthman are wajib qatl. Why don't we apply that same logic to everyone? Why just pick and choose? And that too, pick and choose and make those people that are wajib qatl, those people that love the Ahlul Bayt. Another condition Imam Hassan put down, that the land tax that Muawiyah was taking, and one of the foundations I said was what? One of the foundations I said, and I didn't get a chance to speak about it, is the land of Fadak. When the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt snatched the land of Fadak from Lady Zahra, that became a foundation for Karbala to happen. Do you all know why? Because that land of Fadak, the narration states, the history books state that the tax that was brought from that land, just from that land alone, was enough to feed the Islamic army. Just the tax from that land alone was enough to feed the Islamic army. Think about that. Now you have that much land in your power which is feeding the Islamic army. 10,000 soldiers, 20,000 soldiers, however much it is. It was that money that was used by Muawiyah. It was that money that was used by Yazid. It was that land that was used by Muawiyah and Yazid. This is why that snatching, I didn't get a chance to speak about this. Inshallah, some other time we'll talk about that land and how that was also one of the foundations. But that land was also a foundation for Karbala, the incident of Karbala. But what does Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he stipulates that the tax from a certain land, that tax would go to Imam Hassan. That tax would only go to Imam Hassan. And then he stipulates to Muawiyah that Muawiyah should not oppress the Ahlul Bayt or the lovers of the Ahlul Bayt. 6 conditions, 7 conditions. How many of these conditions did Muawiyah adhere to? And how many of these conditions did he reject? When he accepted these conditions, do you know what he says? He says that he takes out the ring that was on his finger and he says that these conditions, this treaty, is like this ring on my finger. I can do what I want with it. I can do what I want with it. As soon as he became Khalifa in Sham, that's what he does. I can do what I want with it. Other narrations, they state that that treaty that he had, he put it under his feet. And he says, this is what I think about this treaty. This is what Imam Hassan alayhi salam wanted the people to know about Muawiyah. The problem with Muawiyah was that outwardly he was a Muslim, inwardly he was a kafir. And that's the definition of a hypocrite. Outwardly he was a Muslim, inwardly he was a kafir. That's why it was very difficult for people to believe that he was a kafir. That's why it was very difficult for people to believe that he had left the right path. But with Yazid, whatever he was outwardly, he was inwardly. Whatever he said, he did. Today, even today, some ex-presidents, whatever you want to call them, whatever they were outwardly or whatever they were inwardly, they were outwardly. Meaning what? Even today, people like that exist. If they hate you inwardly, they'll just come out and say they hate you. They hate you outwardly too. There is no hypocrisy in them like that. But the problem with Yazid is he is trying to represent a whole nation now. He has become the Khalifa of the Muslims now. So that hypocrisy should not exist. But it exists. It exists outwardly now. So this became one of the foundations for what? For the events of Karbala. And Imam Hassan al-Islam, he put these conditions down knowing that Muawiyah was not going to adhere to any of them. He knew that. He knew that. But if Imam Hussein was in Imam Hassan's place, he would have done the same thing. Why? Because what the people needed to see, their eyes needed to be opened up to what Banu Umayyah was. And this is what that Sulah of Imam Hassan does. It opens up the eyes of these people. It opens up their eyes. There were Shias at that time that went to Imam Hassan and they say to him, Shias, they said, you become kafir, why did you make a treaty with him? Shias. Why did you make a treaty with him? Imam Hassan, he looks at them and he goes, you don't understand yet. Abdullah ibn Zubair, for example, in the court of Muawiyah, he starts priding himself Abdullah ibn Zubair, when he prides himself over Imam Hassan, and he starts saying to Imam Hassan, when there's a whole group of people, he starts saying about Imam Hassan that Imam Hassan's cowardly. If he was a man, if he had strength, if he had power, he wouldn't have signed that treaty, or he wouldn't have made that treaty with Muawiyah. Imam Hassan alayhi salam, in that group, he looks at Abdullah and he says, Abdullah, the only reason I signed that treaty, or the only reason I made that treaty, is because I had people like you on my side. That's it. I had people like you on my side who go from here to there. Wherever they find food, they'll go. And that shut Abdullah up. That shut Abdullah up. Companions of Imam Hassan, when they asked, he said, what was I going to do? You Shi'as, you are very few. The majority of people, they don't believe me the same way you believe me. The only reason I signed that treaty was why? So you Shi'as, your life could be saved. That was it. It was so your lives could be saved. Your lives mean more to me than power. When Imam Zaman comes, same thing. There are going to be Shias that question the way he rules. There are going to be Shias that question the actions that he takes. Shias. That's why it's necessary for you to have ma'rifat of the Imam. What does that mean, having ma'rifat of the Imam? You have to remember, in front of the Imam, there's only yes, my master. That's it. There is no why. There is no no. There is no why. There's only yes. If you start thinking why, if you start thinking why can't I question the Imam, that's when it leads you to that wrong path. Because now you're not differentiating between an Imam, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has meant Imam to be, and a worldly leader now. That's it. There is no why when the Imam. In front of the Imam, there is no why. That's what it means to have ma'rifah. That's what it means to have ma'rifah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
As soon as the treaty was agreed upon, both of them, both Imam Hassan and Muawiyah, both did observance. And I told you what Muawiyah did. And that's exactly what Imam Hassan alayhi salam wanted. He wanted to take the wool off from the people's eyes, the covering off from the people's eyes about what Muawiyah was. And the fact that he spent 7 years trying to get Yazid's bay'ah, to get people to side with Yazid, tells you what? One, why would it take 7 years? Why did it take 7 years? Do you all know? Because even amongst his people that he planted, even amongst his governors, there were people that didn't want Yazid to be Khalifa after him. Because they knew the type of person he was. So what does he do? He pays them. If you accept him, I'll give you money. If you reject him, you get the sword. That was it. Those were the two options. Those were the two options. Life or death, that's it. That's the reason that Yazid was accepted. It wasn't because he was qualified. It wasn't because he was qualified. But what do our scholars say? Some people, they say, why did Imam Hassan shouldn't have done that? As if they know better than the Imam. Some people, they say that Imam Hassan should have fought just the way Imam Hussein alayhi salam fought, as if they know better than the Imam. As if they know better than the Imam. No. This treaty of the Imam, like I said, was one of the foundations for the event of Karbala to happen. How, when this treaty was broken by Muawiyah, now in Kufa, you had two types of people. You had two types of people now. One group that sided with Yazid, one group that sided with Imam Hussein. That's it. This is why this treaty became a foundation for the events of Karbala to happen. If it wasn't for this treaty, how would people differentiate, or how would we today differentiate between who were on the right and who were on the wrong? And you see in Karbala, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, after he sacrificed himself, or before he sacrificed himself, what does he say to Lady Zainab salawatullahi alaiha? When she starts to cry, he says to Lady Zainab, "Oh my sister, there's no need for you to cry. The masa'ib that are going to befall you will befall you after I leave this world. The masa'ib that are going to befall you are greater than what is going to befall me." And you see that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam himself, before he passed away, he calls Imam Hussein alayhi salam and he says to Imam Hussein, "Oh my son Hussein, before you say your last farewell, I want you to kiss the wrists of your sister Zainab." And before Imam Hussein alayhi salam left for the last battle, Lady Zainab, she tells Abu Abdullah, "Ya Abu Abdullah, oh my brother, can you unbutton your collar?" Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he unbuttons that collar. And what does Lady Zainab do? She kisses his neck. She kisses his throat. When she kisses his throat, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says, "Oh my sister Zainab, can you show me your wrist?" Lady Zainab, she shows the wrist, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he kisses those wrists. Imam Hussein, he asked Lady Zainab, "Oh Zainab, my sister, why did you kiss my throat?" And Lady Zainab, she replies, "Oh my brother Hussein, before our mother left, she told me, oh Zainab, when Abu Abdullah says his last farewell, I want you to kiss his throat for me, that's why I kiss your throat." Then Imam Hussein, he was asked by Lady Zainab, "Oh Hussein, why did you kiss my wrist?" Imam Hussein, he cries and he says, "Oh my sister Zainab, before our father left this world, he told me, Ya Hussein, before you say your farewell, go to Lady Zainab and kiss the wrist for me." It was after the shahadat of Abu Abdullah, that's when Lady Zainab knew exactly why her father wanted those wrists to be kissed. It was because she was taken as asir. It was because she was taken as a captive. Brothers and sisters, after the events of Karbala, this caravan, it goes to Kufa. From Kufa, it goes to Sham. When it gets to Sham, the darbar of Yazid is full. The courtyard of Yazid is full. The people are clamoring, the people are happy, the people are excited. Why? Because they've been told Baghis have come to this darbar. The people have been told that rebels have been brought into this courtyard. And one of the people that were told this was the wife of Yazid. This wife of Yazid, brothers and sisters, she was a muhib of the Ahlul Bayt. When she was told that rebels have been brought, she tells her servant that, "Go, I'll come. I want to see who these rebels are." When she comes, she was sitting in a litter. And when she comes, she asks those people, "Who are you people? Where are you from?" One of the women who was covering their head, who was covering their face, she says that we're people from Medina. When the wife of Yazid hears that these are people from Medina, she comes from her litter and she sits down. When she sits down, this lady asks her, oh woman, why did you come down and sit down?" And she says, "Because you people are from Medina, because of the respect I have for the people of Medina." This woman, she asked, "Do you know any people of Medina?" The wife of Yazid, she says, "Oh woman, there are people in Medina I do know. Can you tell me about Hussein ibn Ali? He was in Medina. Can you tell me about him?"
The lady Zainab, she starts to cry and she asks her, do you know anyone else in Medina? And this woman, the wife of Yazid, she says, yes, the son of Hussein. He was the mirror image of Rasulullah. His name was Ali al-Akbar. Can you tell me about him? Lady Zainab, she starts to cry. She says, do you want to know about anyone else? And that woman, she says, yes. Hussein, he had a brother who was the mirror image of Ali al-Murtaza. Can you tell me about him? Lady Zainab, she starts to cry even more. When she starts to cry even more, then she asks this woman, oh woman, are you not going to ask about the daughters of Ali? Are you not going to ask about the sisters of Hussein? That's when the wife of Yazid, she gets angry and she says, oh lady, do not use those names, do not talk about those personalities. Those are the daughters of Bint Rasul, do not tell me about them. That's when she says, that's when Lady Zainab says, oh Hind, do you not recognize me? I am Zainab. Oh Hind, do you not recognize her? That is Kulsum. Hind, she starts to cry. She says, oh Lady Zainab, what has happened to you? What happened to Hussein? That's when Lady Zainab says, oh Hind, look at those heads. That is the head of Abu Abdullah Hussein. You asked about Ali al-Akbar. Look at that head. That is the head of Ali al-Akbar. You asked about Abbas. Look at that head. That is the head of Abbas. Hind, she starts to cry. She asks, oh Zainab, what has happened here? The narrations, they said that she cried and she leaves that place. She goes to the courtyard of Yazid where there was full of people without a scarf on. When she goes on without a scarf, Yazid, he yells and he says, Hind, what are you doing here without a scarf? And he puts her up on top. She starts to cry. She says, Yazid, why are you worried about my scarf when the scarf of Bint Rasul is on her head? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Qul la'natullahi alal qawmil kafirin. Matam Hussein. मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ 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 आए सजाद को ले आई है तकदीर कहाँ मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ खैर हो कर मासूम की दिल डरता है खैर हो कर मासूम की दिल डरता है खैर हो कर मासूम की दिल डरता है कोई लिल्लाह बता हो के चले तीर कहाँ मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ खैर हो कर मासूम की दिल डरता है खैर हो कर मासूम की दिल डरता है कोई लिल्लाह बता हो के गले तीर कहाँ मंजिल शाम कहाँ गैरत शबीर कहाँ
تشکیل کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں آئے سجاد کو لے آئی ہے تقدیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں آج شاید کے زمانے میں علمدار نہیں آج شاید کے زمانے میں علمدار نہیں آج شاید کے زمانے میں علمدار نہیں ورنہ دربار میں عباس کی ہم شیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں منزل شام کہاں غیرت شبیر کہاں حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین با وفا یا عباس با وفا یا عباس 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 محفوظ قافلہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس 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 اس نوری کارواں ہے نوری ہماریاں میں نوری ہماریوں میں نوری سواریاں ہے نوری سواریاں ہے سر پر عالم کھلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس 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 نام محرموں کا مجمع ہٹ ہٹ کے ہے گزرتا پھر میں مجمع ہٹ ہٹ کے ہے گزرتا ہٹ کے ہے گزرتا کیا شان تو دبدبا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس عباس فیضا ہر بیوی بارگاہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس 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 اصغر سے کھیلتی ہے خوش ہے بہت سکینہ جب چاہتی ہے سونا ہے بابا جان کا سینہ ہے بابا جان کا سینہ غم سے نہ آشنا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس 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 عباس
یا حسین 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 یا حسین
السلام علیکم یا رسول اللہ السلام علیکم یا نبی اللہ السلام علیکم یا علی ابن ابی طالب امیر المومنین السلام علیکم یا فاطمۃ الزہرا السلام علیکم یا حسن ابن علی السلام علیکم یا حسین ابن علی السلام علیکم یا علی ابن الحسین السلام علیکم یا محمد ابن علی السلام علیکم یا جعفر ابن محمد السلام علیکم یا موسیٰ ابن جعفر جمیعا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا غریب الغرباء یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء یا علی ابن موسیٰ رضا اطلبنا عند قبلک الشریف السلام علیکم یا محمد ابن علی السلام علیکم یا علی ابن محمد السلام علیکم یا حسن ابن علی جمیعا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ صلی اللہ علیکم یا مولانا یا صاحب الزمان السلام علیکم یا خلیفۃ الرحمن و یا شریک القرآن و یا امام الارض و امام الانس والجان عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک و ظہورک انشاء اللہ ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ